Welcome to The Shield Within. The issues discussed on the Shield Within podcast do not reflect the opinions of any specific agency. They are the views of the host and the guest. Any persons discussed may be fictional for comedic purposes only. This podcast is rated explicit and listener discretion is advised. Listening to The Shield Within may trigger repressed or suppressed memories or experiences. Please contact a mental health professional at your earliest convenience. It's time for the chaos to cease.
Time to open yourself to peace.
From the hours you've put in,
to the next shift you begin.
From the endless pursuit of release
that finds the worst unleashed.
Transform the ugly into a win.
Get to know your shield within.
Welcome to the Shield Within.
Welcome, Mark.
Well, you all are in for a great treat. This is the second half of a two-part series. We have Doctor of Education, Jerry Knapke, with us.
If I'm Dr. Knapke in psychology, it's a fourth-degree misdemeanor misrepresenting myself.
Oh, well, we're not misrepresenting.
We don't want to do that, no.
Right.
No.
But you are a therapist.
I am a licensed professional clinical counselor in practice in Tip City, Ohio.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And how I know that is because when you bailed on me, fucker.
Mark got stuck with me. Mark got stuck with me, and Dave went south.
I'm like, what do you mean you're retiring? We're not done yet. Dave's like, fuck you, I'm going to Florida.
Well, I know this upstart down in Troy.
Yeah. And he gave me Jerry.
Yeah.
But he also said, I've never met the man.
Interesting.
But I hear nothing but great things about him. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
Interesting how
Give him a shot.
David and I are sitting here together.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Oh no, I think it's great. It's there again. We did a little prayer here before we turned the microphones on. Thought that was great. Good way to get started. But it's how your higher power. I mean, I have a friend of mine that is just anti-God, no matter what. No religion. But it's whatever you believe, whatever your higher power is, whatever your higher source is. What do you go to for that extra amount of energy? And as I've said many times, I'm Catholic. That's my faith. But Jerry's taught me so much about spirituality.
Yeah.
Versus religion.
Right. And once I figured that out in my adult life, it's wonderful. Is the dogs in here?
No.
Oh, okay. Looking down.
I wanted to make sure before I kicked it.
Because Maggie likes to make
it's dangerous in here.
So let's do a little business. There she is. Dun, dun, dun. Facebook / The Shield Within. Please stop by. Give us a like. Check out our stuff. Like and share. Especially if we have a new episode out. Our episodes drop the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month. We're on all major platforms. Let us know where you're listening to us at. If you're on Apple, please give us a 5-star and give us a comment. I love Dr. David's voice. He should do EMSR? Where we do the sound. I'm making a glass of water. Anyway, but something on there. I like cats. Whatever. Stay out of Springfield. They like cats there too. But no, I got that. No, I turned it down. Darn it. There we go. Or we'll try our audience clapping. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Yes, thank you.
Nerds. But anyway, Facebook, give us a like. We're looking for it there. If you want to support the show, we have Patreon. It's $5 a month to help us out. We put a lot of work, a lot of effort. David does a shit ton of research. But if you like us and you enjoy our program, we would absolutely appreciate some support. Also, we're on the interwebs, www.theshieldwithin.com. We're gonna redo that. I was looking at it the other day. It's old and stale, as far as I'm concerned. We're going to just kind of give it a new light. I'm going to reach out to a friend of mine that's a web dude and just give it a good freshening up. But you can see our smiling faces there, and then there's Hedgehog Donnie up there on top of the cabinet if you haven't seen him yet. But he's on there as well. But stop by and give us a shout out. We'd appreciate it. So last episode, great stuff. Thanks for joining us again. This episode, we're talking about, and David and I have had this debate for years. David is very, how do we want to say it, pro-natural
Yes.
remedies?
Yes, very much so in general. Very much pro
Okay.
remedies. Yeah, organic, natural kinds of things that help us work better for me and most of the people I know in and out of professional activity, better than pharmaceuticals.
Yes. And I saw a thing the other day, Pfizer, when they first came out, that he tried to determine that, or tried to get the Congress, or maybe did get the Congress to say those old home remedies were illegal,
Right.
to force the American public to use. Hey. Sorry, Maggie is in here on steroids. To stop using the good natural home remedies,
Right.
and start buying the pills. Hey, come here. We're dog sitting, and Susan went to the barn, so Maggie is trying to get our other dog to play with her. So they decided to come in the studio here, so she's going to join us for a little bit.
Supporting cast.
Yes,
That's right, man.
yes. Yeah, Maggie first joined us for the Melanie Palmer episode,
Yes.
and then she's kind of been here ever since. But my thing is being a young officer. Well, okay, let's back up a little farther. Being a young man, I was the third of three boys, and my two older brothers liked to smoke the devil's lettuce.
Oh my God.
Which, back in the day, I did my share of trying to keep up with the Cheech and Chong movies. Up in Smoke was one of my first and favorite movies. That scene when they're in the old in the Impala.
Right.
It's like, hey man, I'm out driving. And he's like, dude, I think we're parked. And they're in the middle of the busy thoroughfare there, and smoke's rolling out the windows. But just good, funny stoner humor. But, I used to smoke a lot of pot back in the day. And I never really thought it was a problem. I never wanted to get into any deeper or heavier drugs. I'm like, I think I want to do heroin right now. So let me take this needle and jam it in my fucking arm. I never had any desire to do cocaine. And there was tons of fucking cocaine back in my day.
Right.
And it was very easy to get. I mean, where I grew up there in Covington, Ohio, there was the drug life. I personally, as a man, never wanted to do anything beyond drink a few beers, and then I come to find out that I'm allergic to beer, and smoke some weed. So that was, I didn't have a problem with it. I really didn't see a problem with it. But then when my calling came to get into law enforcement, then I started getting statements like, it's a gateway drug. It's the beginning of your drug life. And I thought, no, I never, not for me. I mean, I know people that, and this is a show about trauma. Why do people start doing heavier drugs? Because they don't want to deal with their shit. They don't want to deal with their trauma. I mean, am I correct here? I have two therapists here. Yes.
Amen.
Yeah.
Whatever can kill the pain, whatever can take me away.
Right. So we got cops that, I drink a beer tonight, help me get to sleep. I'm going to drink 2 beers tomorrow night. Next thing you know, they're pounding a case of beer.
Yeah.
An 8-pack, a 12-pack, whatever, before they go to bed.
Right.
That's a good thing. It's like me with my processed addiction, which is food. I want to eat, which is absolute worst thing you can do because now my body's digesting, and no wonder I don't sleep with a fuck.
Right.
But, I never felt that, but I was told marijuana is a gateway drug.
Right.
Okay, cool. So marijuana's bad. Okay. You're like Mr. Knapke from South Park. But now, and I never gave a fuck about people smoking pot. I could give 2 flying shits. And I would tell people that. I don't give a fuck about the marijuana. Give me the pipe. I'm looking for the arrest, right? Because marijuana was a minor misdemeanor and the pipe was an M4. So, to keep the boss happy, because, as we say, the boss loves tickets, or, like the state patrol, the colonel loves tickets, it's a holiday weekend, it's ticket time. So, you want to make the boss happy. So you're writing the bigger charges, now that I smell the marijuana, that's an illegal substance. Now can we get into the car and look for anything more, blah, blah, blah. And most of the time, no. And then, I know a few of my colleagues that were actually arresting for the stuff we were throwing away, the stems and seeds. Well, it's marijuana. Well, yeah, it is. But there again, that's a chicken shit fucking charge. But I never wrote for stems and seeds. But it's like writing for a plate light. I think that was chicken shit as well. I never did that. Well, I shouldn't say never. I did. So I'm not a hypocrite. So here we are today.
Right.
I just recently got back from Oregon.
Yep.
And in the past years, and I've said on past episodes, when my daughter Jen says, "Dad, you need to smoke some weed and calm the fuck down." And I'm like, I am not doing that. But I know that other officers that would go to Las Vegas, and what's legal outside the city? Prostitution. They go out to the Bunny Ranch and visit prostitutes. And I'm like, well, Jesus Christ, guys, that's an ethical fucking issue. Well, it's legal. Okay. Well, there's a whole other can of worms I can see that we just opened up with that statement. But marijuana in Portland, Oregon is legal to use recreationally. And then Detroit and the state of Michigan switched it over to legal. So, there's been almost a steady stream of Ohioans going to Michigan buying marijuana in THC and all sorts of different, I don't know, forms? Products. Yeah, different products. So this last trip out there, and really Jim Bernica in his book, Jesus Christ, David.
Overcoming Tuesday. Man, my memories just shot the hell. I had getting past on the mind of it, like that's not it. But Jim was on with us a couple months ago, and he was talking about getting to sleep. And that's our number one thing. Would you agree with that, Jerry, with your first responders? Is that one of the first questions you ask them?
I would say the inability to relax. They're in flight all the time. They have chronic stress.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to come down. So when you're trying to sleep, your body doesn't want you to sleep. It's afraid. It's scared.
Right.
So it's a major issue. Just,
You're in that chronic fight or flight, that cortisol dump, It's like over the weekend, and we talked about this in the last episode, where I had the cortisol dump with my wife. When we were just having a conversation, and I perceived her as being angry with me, and it wasn't that. It's just my perception.
Right.
And think of the level of anxiety that many people experience. That's the more common word, is just anxiety. But with first responders, it's hard to return to baseline after you've been so fired up and so energized on the job, so activated. Suddenly, how am I supposed to just calm down and fall asleep? And then once they get to sleep, they jump back up. They're not safe because the trauma is eating at them, right?
Right, absolutely. And whether it comes out in dreams or just really low quality sleep where you're waking up a lot, you end up getting out of bed and you end up going to the bathroom or getting
restless legs.
Yep, restless leg, absolutely. So the body again holds all that shit. And when you lay down to sleep and get horizontal, and you close your eyes and the room's dark and all that stuff, all those triggers say, time to do this, and then you can't, then you have a conclusion. There must be something wrong with me. Or maybe I don't need that much sleep. Maybe I'm just good on, hour and a half.
Oh, no. Yeah. Here's the line. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, bucko? Your death is coming sooner than later because we die statistically 10 years earlier or quicker or sooner than your average American does.
Not sleeping is like not taking your car in to be serviced. There's no time for your major organs, heart, lungs, kidneys, to rest, to restore, to recreate. They're always on. It's like...
So what is the chemical? Your mind goes through a chemical dump when you sleep. When you get into REM sleep, and I know it's there. I'm going to research it, and I'll probably
melatonin and serotonin.
Well, that's what gets you to sleep, right? But no, there's actually a physical flushing of the toilet with the chemicals that come out of your brain that refreshes you. So getting to sleep, and like what Dr. Molly Hall said, the first thing I do is to get them to sleep. So chemically, either through use of medicines or therapeutics such as meditation, whatever, we need to get them to sleep.
Relaxation.
Yeah, we need to tone them down. So this last trip to Oregon, I go out there for my birthday over Labor Day. I said, I'm going to the dispensary. And everybody's fucking jaw dropped. My colleagues are like, how dare you? I'm like, what, dude? It's fucking legal. It's legal here in Ohio. I'm not a cop anymore. I am retired, and I've been retired for 3 years.
What's the name of that book?
Overcoming Tuesday.
Overcoming Tuesday.
Yeah,
No,
I'll give it to you.
I'll take it.
No, Jim gave us an extra one as a giveaway, so that's our gift to you. Look at you, you're fucking cleaning up.
Yeah,
got Mark the Comp keychains in here tonight, and give him his Shield Within T-shirt. So, anyway,
making out like a bandit.
Right. So, I decided that, and I'm not sleeping, just so we know. Right. So here I'm going to be vulnerable, which is rare if ever. I'm not sleeping, and it doesn't matter what the fuck I do. I mean, other than, like what Jim said, no, I don't sleep. I pass out because I take enough fucking whatever chemicals to put me out for 8 hours. I have to plan my night. So I said, yeah, I'm going to jump into this whole gummy world. And so we went to the dispensary, and out in where we go in Beaverton, Oregon. It's right next to the police station, which I thought that was funny as fuck. So to add to it, we're rolling in there, and my son-in-law had a Crown Vic when I first met him, and I'm a big Crown Vic fan. And we're taping this on the 16th of September. I usually don't like the date, how far back we do things, but today is the day after the last Crown Vic rolled off the assembly line in 2011. So I put up a big posting, God save the Crown Vic. And
let's have a moment of silence.
Okay, that's over. So yes, 13 years ago, the last Crown Vic rolled off the assembly line in St. Thomas, Canada, at the St. Thomas plant, and it actually went to Saudi Arabia. So all the people working on it, I can't believe Ford didn't keep that fucking thing. They sold it. I'm like, that's an iconic fucking car. Why wouldn't you keep the last one? But it shipped to Saudi Arabia, so
7 figures for one car.
That'll do it.
Yeah. But anyway, I went down a rabbit hole, Crown Vics. But Adam used to have one. So as we're rolling in there, there's an old Multnomah County Sheriff's Department cruiser rolls in next. So it's an old green Crown Vic. And I asked the guy, I said, man, at first I thought somebody repainted it. I said, where'd that car came from? He said, Multnomah County. And you may recognize that county because the guy, Sheriff John Bonnell, was the sheriff of Multnomah County, Oregon, that did the wildest police videos. So I'll put that up on our social media. I met him in Washington, D.C. So we're gonna get to sleep. All right. So I'm going into the dispensary and spoke to a nice gentleman in there. It's really cool how it's set up. It's very, very organized. So the registers are on one end. So you come in, and to the left is all of the marijuana, and they have it in great big, I don't know, probably 10 by 10 square glass jars.
Right. It's like a
the
jewelry
candy store.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Like a jewelry store.
Yeah. And you decide, hey, I want an ounce of purple, whatever. It's all named, you know. What do you want? Do you want to be mellow? Do you want to get fucked up? What effect do you want? This is what the effects these are, because they have it scientifically broke down. I thought, man, that's pretty cool. So then in the back, on the back wall, as you walk in the door, is all the edibles. And there's everything you can put marijuana in. There's brownies, there's cookies, there's gummies, there's this, there's that, and the other. Like, wow, it's just like a fucking grocery store back here.
Right.
And then off to my right is all the induction devices. There's bongs and pipes and everything else over there. Vapes is another big one.
Right.
There's the vape pens are on that side of the shop as well. And then there's 2 lines. You line up, and then, because you just don't pick a register. There's someone at the register that you have to, there's a process. You don't carry the product. You never touch it.
Right.
They have it for you. They carry it around in a little.
No surprise there, Mark.
Well, but I'm not surprised by that. But I'm just kind of, if you haven't been to a dispensary, this is how it works. So the young man I was talking to, he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I like to smoke a bowl, and I take a gummy," and he's giving me the percentages, and he's like, "I recommend like 0.25%." My daughter's like, "No." He's like, "Excuse me." She's like, "He hasn't used marijuana in probably 40 years?" And I said, "Yeah, probably at least that." I was probably 16, 17, 18, in my youth. That's when I was smoking a lot of weed. I said, "Yeah, it's been a while." And the guy's like, "Oh, yeah, you don't want to take what I take. And David and I were talking at the break, and he was telling me about, you tell the story about your client.
Well, boy, there's so much to say here. The objective, I mean, you can go to a dispensary and buy products for any medical reality you're going through. That's number one. Mm-hmm. Upset stomach, trouble with your diet, diabetes. It's not going to cure you of any damn thing, but it's going to help. Mm-hmm. And if you're having, for example, recent client last week is having trouble getting himself motivated. Well, there's a part of the cannabinoid spectrum that is for activation. It's for movement. It's to get you up off your ass, clean the house, go out and do this, that, and the other thing. And he didn't know that. He just thought it was to put you to sleep. And I said, well, absolutely, it can do that, but it can also get you up off your ass if you're having trouble finding motivation and get you to do something that you really, really not want to do. It's activating. And so what we're talking about is the primary reason people pick up cannabis in the first place, which is sleep. Mm-hmm. When Michigan turned its medical program into a medical and recreational program, after a year, Michigan State University did a very big study of people who walked into dispensaries. What are you here to shop for? Why are you here in this store? Mm-hmm. And the answer by a large margin was not, I want to get fucked up.
Right.
It was, I need to go to sleep.
Oh, perfect.
And it was
what a great segue.
It's just, it works. And you have to play with it a little bit.
Right.
You have to do a little trial and error. You can't do it alone, really, because you want whatever you take for sleep, whether it's melatonin, mm-hmm. which is another natural remedy for sleep.
Right.
There's a number of them. There's a herb called valerian root.
Yes.
That you can make tea out of, mm-hmm. if you can survive one swallow of it.
Is it that nasty?
It is about the nastiest thing I have ever put in my mouth. Tried that in college because I couldn't sleep for shit. And there's some other herbs, chamomile, for example, a couple of others that will mm-hmm. relax you, reduce your activation, sedate you to a degree. But marijuana is better at it than any of the other things, is my experience. And so...
Well, I remember back in the day, man, I'd want to inhale an entire pizza with double toppings and this. right to bed, baby. Then laugh about it the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm happy being this way. But there's been such an advancement in the whole, what cannabis can be offered, how it can be offered to us all, mm-hmm. that, for example, I have a number of clients who take melatonin.
Right.
And have for a long time.
Yes.
And then they find it, I'd have to say they're pretty much dependent on it. Mm-hmm. When we have conversations about going to sleep, it's like, well, as long as I have my melatonin, but I'm not going to sleep if I don't have my melatonin.
Really?
Okay. So Jim Bernica talked about the combining a gummy uh-huh. with melatonin. Well, in Dayton, at a dispensary, I believe it's called Off the Charts mm-hmm. on Salem Avenue, they have a product that is part cannabis, part melatonin.
Oh, no shit.
Why not?
And
Why not?
Exactly.
And I'm thinking, if you think about it in terms of like how you want all medication to enter your body, mm-hmm. you want as little as possible to do as much as possible. Because what you really want to do is teach your body how to take care of itself.
Yes.
And so when we talk about, for example, when we talked about sleep, you take this to teach yourself how to go to sleep.
Right.
And once your brain has learned, I know how to do this now, mm-hmm. you can back off or stop. Now, if you don't do that, it's okay too.
Right.
But if you stop and your body takes over, like it does a lot with belly breathing, then your body takes care of you. You don't have to take it. It will feed you back. It will reward you back. So for me, sleep and marijuana are like, if you're having trouble sleeping, you don't have to get fucked up to go to sleep.
Right.
You can take 5 milligrams, which is like nothing, of a gummy, or, a cookie and all that stuff is fine, but it takes a little bit longer to digest. A gummy doesn't take long. So you take half or whole gummy, maybe 45 to 60 minutes before you want your eyes to close, and you see what happens. If it works, then 5 milligrams that's all you need, and it puts you to sleep. If it's not enough, you can take a 10. You can take more than that.
Right.
But it's a process of experimentation. You're going to try it. It may not work for you. I have a lady, one of my folks, who loves going to sleep. Loves going to sleep. Oh my God, does she love sleep? But she hates marijuana.
Really?
So I said, have you ever tried a tincture? What the hell's a tincture? Tinctures are one of the oldest categories of remedy on earth. You infuse alcohol with the product, the oil typically of a plant, and that alcohol will take on the properties of that chemical in the plant. And cannabis is the same thing. You have a tincture. The cannabis plant, the goodies are infused into the alcohol. You take a drop or 2 drops under your tongue, you're going to sleep. And
Really?
you're not going to get fucked up.
How could you measure that in terms of milligrams, I wonder?
You get an eyedropper with a bottle of tincture. You get an eyedropper. And the person at the dispensary may say, hey, go home and take that whole eyedropper. See what you think.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, like my guy that was trying to, I smoke a bowl and I get like 25 milligrams. My daughter's like, no. He would be catatonic if he took that much.
And so it's a kind of way to get you there to get the goodies from the plant without giving you a recreational effect.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people that want the sleep, love the sleep, but they don't want the recreational effect.
That's what I took. I don't know if you saw that product before. Sorry.
Very good.
Squirrel moment.
So yeah, there are products available that will provide sleep almost guaranteed. And it doesn't take, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks to trial and error to make sure you know exactly what to take, how much to take, when to take it, and what to anticipate when you take it. If you find that place where it's right and that's the right dose, time, all those elements, then the next morning you will wake up without brain fog at all. You'll have had a great night's sleep and feel active and ready.
So let's talk about that. So I go in there and I bought the 10, 10, and 10 is what they told me to do, which I did. In the product here, I just shared it in the room. I'll post this on my social media. But GRON with the 2 little dots above the O, which is what? Grown?
I guess, yeah.
Gron, whatever the hell it is. What do they call this here? Sugar-coated pearls, they call it. That's what the gummies were. Blackberry lemonade is what I got. Has CBD, CBN, and THC extract.
Right.
It says on the label here.
Yeah.
Called Sleepy Indica. Anyway, Indica. Yeah, that's what the product is. And then the on the back side, it talks about 9.89 milligrams of THC, 10.39 milligrams of CBD. I'm sorry. Yeah, CBD, and then 10.3 milligrams of CBN in each one of them. So what I did, because I'm still not sleeping. I ain't sleeping with a shit.
Yeah.
Probably 5 hours a night. That's it. Unless I the other one is I need to take the melatonin.
Yeah.
I take either a half dose or a whole dose of NyQuil. The melatonin puts me out. The NyQuil keeps me out, but still I'm up by 4:30 every day.
Yeah.
That's why you're a morning person, Mark.
Yeah, I'm wide awake, and the people in the good morning groups like stay off your fucking phone until after 7 o'clock. You can be on your phone, but just don't fucking text.
I've had other clients that know you tell me that, Mark. Oh shit!
Like that motherfucker is up at 4 o'clock in the morning texting. Just stop. And so anyway, I'm opened my mind up. It's like I've been told this is a gateway drug, but when I took it before, I'm not a heroin addict.
Right.
I don't play one on TV. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let's try something out. So I took a half one the first night.
Good.
Slept good. had some pretty cool dreams. I wasn't getting, my thing is because I still dream cop.
Right.
I'm always fighting, shooting, some kind of, I'm fighting something.
Right.
Make a traffic stop. Now we're out on the ground. It's always in that desperation. Where I'm getting choked out and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. So no, the dreams were really super mellow. Still was a short night. Mm-hmm. All right. So I woke up and I didn't feel foggy, and I didn't. Because I took trazodone. Mm-hmm. Trazodone blurred my vision. So I actually went back to the eye doctor. Guy's like, I don't know why you can't see. Well, and then I talked to my doctor about it, and she's like, you're part of the 5% where trazodone blurs the vision because it clears up.
Mm-hmm. How long did you take trazodone? For years?
6 weeks.
Only 6.
No, I couldn't fucking see, dude.
Yeah.
I had to go to work, and I'm like, it's blurry. I mean, I'm thinking my glasses fucked up. There's something wrong. I had to call off sick a couple times because I fucking couldn't. I could see, but it was like looking through glasses that just smeared with Vaseline or something.
Wow.
So yeah, it was that bad. And about midnight, my vision would clear up. And then, like a dummy, I'd go home. I gotta take my trazodone, do it again, start the day all over. It only took me 3 times to figure out. I think this shit's fucking me up. Wow. So I would only take it on my days off. But it is a good. It's like
it will make your ass sleep.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
You'll sleep, but it's also good mood enhancer.
Oh,
it's like Prozac.
Yes.
It's an antidepressant medication. So I'm trying to go with that.
And it's often given to prescribed for clients with PTSD as a sleep aid,
right?
Because it does both. It's a antidepressant too.
And I've taken several other sleep medications, and I was just the next day just like, yeah. I mean, I am fucking foggy for hours. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'll just deal with it less.
Right.
So I wanted more of an effect. So I took a whole gummy the next night, and I slept pretty fucking good, but still not enough. Mm-hmm. So, I wanted to take a gummy and a half. Mm-hmm. So the third night I took the gummy and a half, and I slept pretty good after that. But then it was time to come home because we were only there. We were there 6 days.
Right.
So, I decided, and my wife's like, we need to take that home with us. And I'm like, the fuck we are. No. We'll buy it in Ohio where it's legal.
Yeah.
But Dr. Molly said, well, I'll give you a prescription for it. And I'm like, no. We're not doing that. We're not getting on the prescription thing because I like my guns.
Yeah.
So, but then they made it recreational. So I guess that's that whole rabbit hole of what happens to your guns because, you're taking marijuana. You're a hardened criminal. No, you're not. It's just fucking pot. There's people that use these, and my main goal is, and the purpose of this conversation of this episode is, why aren't we having this conversation about getting our cops to sleep? What's more important?
Right.
Because this is fact. Every cop is working. Therapists back me up on this. Mm-hmm. Fatigued.
Yes.
100%. The effects of fatigue is just like working drunk.
Yes.
The long, and I'm not talking about, I'm just a little sleepy. I'm talking about long-term fatigue and what happens to you when you're in long-term fatigue, the health problems, the GERD problems with digestion, and everything else. So why aren't we embracing the medicinal facts? Which, number one, the CBD oil, I didn't hurt because I have a double hip impingement, which is horrible at times, the pain, because I just can't lay in a certain position because it hurts no matter where you sit, stand, whatever. You can only do it in increments. So the CBD effect was helping me because my body didn't hurt as bad. And the THC effect, I think, helped me stay asleep. Mm-hmm. So I was very inspired by that. Mm-hmm. And I want to see, or my thing is that the cities that are saying no marijuana, but you can go home and drink your face off. What's the difference here? And I think that the cities, and I know a lot of some municipalities stopped doing random drug testing. Mm-hmm. And for those, and good for you. But what we're talking about, and I really think was intriguing, where you said that the majority of the people that came through the door was, I want to go to sleep.
Right. Yeah. It's the universal problem.
Yeah.
I was Googling that. Ambien in 2018, 6 years ago, wrote 12,877,000 prescriptions for Ambien.
Jesus Christ.
2019, there were 15,419. This is just Ambien. This isn't the whole list of other
and the
sleeping
fucked
pills.
up shit you do on Ambien? How many people
yes.
claim they
Oh,
woke
gosh.
up from, the people got arrested?
Yes.
I don't know. I was really tired and I took a couple of Ambien. And the next thing I know, I'm in jail. What
Right.
happened?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, it's a huge sleep is a huge problem in
Yes.
America.
Yeah.
According to this from Search Labs AI, it actually says in 2020, 8.4% of adults use sleep medication daily.
Yeah.
That's 1 out of 10 daily.
That's
Not
a
to
lot.
mention occasionally. That's a lot.
Right. And that's not our first responders.
Right. Exactly. It's just the average population.
My biggest thing is like with the first responders, when I went to Florida, no, I was off the job by then, but I was exploring with CBD oil, which was really beneficial for pain relief. But now that I'm working with the gummies, I'm because I can't stand the smell of pot. It's like the joke was, do you have a pet skunk in your house? But some
on,
people
Mark.
it doesn't bother. But to me, since I've had COVID, cat piss and marijuana, I'm like fucking hypersensitive to it. Matter of fact, I got pissed off and to pass a guy the other day because he's smoking weed while he was driving, and it's coming in my car, and I'm like, you motherfucker. Pass him, he's like, what's your problem? But anyway, so I'm hypersensitive to it, so I don't like the smell of it. But I also don't like the recreational effect of it. My motivation for this is why don't we explore it as a natural means to get our first responders to sleep?
Right. Exactly.
And this is, for you, this is going to continue. I mean, this is an experiment. You're sharing with the listeners your direct experience of using it to
Yes.
sleep, right?
Yes.
So it'll be interesting down the road
And
how
it's
that
great
is.
to talk about it with you, my therapist.
Yeah. And David, you were sharing how it can be used so skillfully. It'll be so interesting over the next few years to do research in terms of on the very small doses or the tinctures, how does it affect the amount of light sleep a person has, how much deep sleep do they go into, how much REM sleep do they have. So it'll be really interesting to see that.
Yeah.
And then to compare that with what you get on the Ambien and these very powerful meds, or what you get from trazodone and those, to see how it really does affect the psyche and the quality. Mainly it's the quality of your sleep.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's where I was. I was having good sleep. I was having good dreams. I wasn't, the problem is when I would take my 5 milligrams of melatonin, because less is more of melatonin, boys and girls.
Yes. Same.
Don't go take or buy the 10 milligrams and take 2, because you're wasteful. Really 3 milligrams is all you need of melatonin, and people tend to take too much. And when I shared with my doctor, I did that. I was that guy. I take 2. My doctor's like, no, that's
There
not.
are side effects to taking melatonin.
Oh,
also.
well, you know how the fuck I was back in 2019, 2020. I'll tell you guys how fucked I was. But anyway, and that was just desperation, tired of coming home and pounding, shots of fucking bourbon in the morning. What do I got to do to get myself asleep?
Yeah.
And try and just beg for that 5 hours, just because I was so jacked.
Plus, you were doing shift work as well.
No, right.
Yes.
Your
Yeah.
circadian rhythm was all screwed up on top of the
I was worse on days, if you remember that miserable fucking 6 months of bullshit I went through.
Yeah.
I was just so fucking jacked. I couldn't sleep, because anyway.
Yes, gosh.
But that's a story for another show.
Yes.
But
Just a side note here, just a quick pause,
Sure.
is that's the essence of PTSD, of trauma, is a dysregulated nervous system. If you want to get better, you have to start paying very close attention to your body sensations and what they're telling you, and your reactivity quotient when you really react to a person or situation.
Oh yeah.
So what you're saying is you're a poster child for that. Your trauma was driving your nervous system into being dysregulated all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And you couldn't get it. Get it under control.
Sleep was fucked. Diet was fucked. I mean, as much as I tried to go to the gym, that was fucked too. I mean, just the whole thing, fuckery. That's what we call fuckery.
Yeah.
But now,
Come a long way. Come a long way, buddy.
Well, and we're coming into it's 2021, April 2021. I retired. So 3 years outside the door, still dreaming cops, still not sleeping where the fuck. Still affected with my PTSD symptoms because my overeating. That's my last process addiction that I'm working on. I mean, I've been losing weight. I need to get back in the gym a little more. We're going to do that a little more we're going to stay here for the winter.
Oh,
We're not going to Florida.
Okay.
No, we've rented the house. Susan is not happy
right.
about it, but and I'm kind of not either. But yeah, story for another day. But getting back to sleep, I think that we are not doing our first responders the benefit that
Right.
they're due
I
by
agree.
prohibiting them from using these methods as a sleep product. And I'm going to try and do a report out for season 4. How we sleeping? How we doing?
Mm-hmm.
What's that we say with our friends with Save a Warrior? What's your number today? I'm an 8, but that's not my
Right.
number.
Right.
That means 8 means good, but I'm really not there.
Right.
I guess I still don't understand the whole process. But what does that mean?
It's an attempt to put a number on to kind of help you measure. When you rate your sleep, you rate your depression, you rate your anxiety, etc. It's a 6. Okay, let's get it to a 5. There's a lot of times in EMDR that if you're elevated, if you kind of give a number to the amount of distress that you're feeling, we're going to try and drive that number from an 8 to a 3. And if we get to a 3, which was usually the way it worked, I would say, okay, are you happy with 3 or would you like 2?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm pretty good right now. Okay. Then three's right. Some folks like a little level of distress.
No, some people fucking.
Are we not addicted to
thrive
it?
at it.
That's what feels familiar. And with
right.
PTSD, a lot of folks must have drama in their life,
Exactly.
or they go into withdrawal. They've
Yes.
got to stir some things up. Right?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Things go bad.
That's why
when
we
that
have,
happens,
that's why we
man.
have Blue Falcons at work. If there's no drama, by golly, the motherfucker's going to create drama.
That's right.
So for all the Blue Falcons out there, as Turk says, you can suck my. And we're not going to say it, but
What's interesting too is if that's your way of coping, you're totally unaware of it. You do
Right.
not see how you generate drama. But
Right.
you
Right.
complain about it all the time. Your life's full of drama, but you do. Clients have had to understand that they did not realize what they were doing.
Right,
It was just
exactly.
normal. Doesn't everybody do this?
Yeah, and it maintains my level of distress.
Yes.
So I'm
Feels familiar.
Yeah,
Feels familiar.
I'm centered now.
Well-
Yes.
right, Jerry. But isn't that what you say? We're always attracted to the familiar.
Yes.
When
Yes.
we were talking about the people in our lives, we're always attracted, to what feels familiar. How some men will choose women that have similar traits to
All
their mother.
men choose women. That have sort of a composite of the traits of their caretakers. Even though
Right.
they were hurt by them, it's almost a magnetic, an attraction.
Or
you know?
the
it feels normal.
the woman that's abused will always go back home to the abuser because
Right.
that's what
she's
normal
used to,
is.
until you get help.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. I think the dog's the. Carry on.
The dog is speaking. Let me just add in here while Mark's taking care of Maggie. Ohio has a product that a lot of my clients find way preferable to anything else for sleep in the cannabis line, and that's honey. Ohio has cannabis-infused honey. So if you like hot tea and you're thinking about getting ready to go to bed, a nice cup of hot tea can be relaxing, and you have a teaspoon of honey in there. Yeah, that's a nice way to slide into a very easy initiation of sleep, and it helps you stay there once you're there. I highly recommend to Mark and anybody else that's listening, try the honey. It's open to anybody that walks in the door. It's very popular, so you might want to call first. See if
Are there various doses?
You just get a little tub of it, and you can just determine for yourself what where your receptors are set at.
Okay.
So you try just a little bit. I recommend to people, an eighth of a teaspoon, something pretty small.
I don't have a teaspoon that small.
Yeah, measuring spoons, for baking. Otherwise, I wouldn't either, man. but an eighth of a teaspoon is probably where you start, and then you just climb the ladder. Maybe a quarter, maybe a half, maybe a whole teaspoon, whatever. Everybody's receptors are set differently. But everybody has come back with, man, that shit worked better than anything else I've tried. And so gummies are great. Tinctures are wonderful. I also have people who love the topicals. You have a place on your body that's hurting, a sore neck, a sore leg, a sore knee, whatever. You put the topical on that. It feels incredible. And THC is an anti-inflammatory. So during the night while you're sleeping, you're reducing the inflammation in your neck that you were your topical on. That helps too. So honey, bro.
Oh, I heard you from the other room. I don't know if you heard me in there going, hell yeah. So THC-infused honey.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to check that out too. And that's sold there at the dispensary as well?
Yeah, but because of its popularity, and it's kind of not exactly seasonal, but it's periodic. It's it's more like lettuce, you know. Sometimes when you get sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And so honey is becoming a very popular thing. It's hard to find. There are people that hoard it. When it's released, they go in and buy as much as the dispensary has.
Just like bourbon.
Like bourbon.
Yeah, it's like Buffalo Trace bourbon, yeah.
Weller's is at the local.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's over my shoulder here, Jerry.
So,
red label or green label?
I have both.
Of course you do.
I'm another one of those. I used to be a real bottle hoarder. I'm not anymore. I drink it. It's just like, bourbons to be enjoyed with friends, So we had a family reunion over the weekend, and it's like, that's what it's here for.
Yes.
I can have all these bottles capped up on the shelf. It might be worth $1,200. Like, well, yeah, but what are you going to do with it? If you're not drinking it, you're just telling everybody you got it,
Yeah.
It's kind of like having a classic car and not driving it. Drive the fucking thing. Because, that's what it's for, is to enjoy. I bought a bottle of Old Rip Van Winkle. My wife looked at me after I bought it, and she said, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" Yeah, I am. But...
You're becoming wise.
I paid a lot of money for that bottle, but the enjoyment of it.
Yes.
So I went to our family reunion of some cousins. Shout out to Pearland, Texas Police Department, and the other Sergeant B, Chris. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to our friends in Irving, Texas, as well. But anyway, we went to our family reunion, and I opened that bottle, and Chris and I had the first shot out of it. Both the sergeants and all the other cousins came over, and they're like, "Can we have a shot of that?" Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we drank damn near all that bottle that night. And Matt the cop and I ended up finishing it. But, and it is as great as everybody says it is. It's smooth. It's buttery. It's great. And now I know why everybody wants that bourbon. But if you're not drinking it and you're not enjoying it, and that's the biggest thing, is let's talk about enjoyment. How much enjoyment are you having out of life? How much, we're going to dive right back into our old favorites, the 4 Fs.
Right. Exactly.
How much you enjoying your family,
right?
Your friends, your faith, and doing your favorite activities.
Yeah.
How quickly as first responders we stop doing that. And family can be many things. Go ahead, sir. You look like you had something ready to launch there, Jerry.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
But,
it's just hard to relax and enjoy life. And that in our society, there's so much stimulation, so many screens, so much to do. But that's what it's about. It's about letting your hair down, and enjoying life, and not being driven to work all the time or whatever all the time.
How did we know Hotel California was going to predict it? We're just prisoners of our own device.
Yes.
But anyway, so to wrap back around or to circle back, is that if we're not sleeping and we're always in code red, how are we enjoying life?
Probably not.
We're not. I mean, this is why we still have an epidemic of officers killing themselves. Hey, you knock it off. Sorry, you listen to me scold my dog because she's trying to get the other dog we're babysitting to play with her. The other doggy is blind and deaf and doesn't hear, Maggie, but you all do. But if we're not enjoying things and we're not getting back to the 4 Fs,
right?
That's what keeps us out of it. And I can tell you, being code red all the time. I mean, I just got into it the other day over just a minor conversation about life, and I'm looking forward to moving through this process. It's like I said, I'm not here to get stoned to the bejesus belt, like that famous scene from Caddyshack. You can play 18 rounds on this, and what's that? Carl Spackler said, Bill Murray's character. Shoot 18 rounds on it and then get stoned to the bejesus belt at night. But But that's not my goals.
Right.
I do enough. I would just assume have a nice glass of wine, or a couple shots of bourbon, or a good old fashioned. We're going to have one of those after we get done with this podcast.
Sounds
tonight.
perfect.
But I feel that this is a conversation that needs to take place. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I think that this is Jerry, do you agree that this is the number one thing we need to be doing is getting our cops and our first responders to sleep?
Yes, but it's a whole new area. How does this compare to pharmaceuticals, to relaxation, all these other things? So it's a whole new area, I think.
Well, right.
Spiritual. So again, I know, as I prefaced it before, I know nothing about the field. I don't have any practical information on it, but certainly it's worth exploring and comparing this substance to all the other sleep aids that are being used and how it affects sleep.
Right. Yeah. It's as long as we can have access to the material and test and research like it in the way that you described, and do controlled studies. These people have taken these medications at this dosage level at this time, etc. And now they tried this cannabis product and they got this result from it. Comparing the two, eventually we'll know.
Yes, we'll know.
We'll know. This is, if you take this much of this material at this time, this will be your result, most likely. And until then, we have to do a little trial and error. And
you'll have 3 or 4 columns. Do this, and this is what happens. Do this is what happens, and so on.
So there hasn't been any clinical trials?
There's been, if you look at the National Institutes of Health website, you will find literally thousands of studies on cannabis.
Got it, okay.
The trouble is that some of them are very small sample sizes. Some of them are very repetitive. Like somebody did a study, so I'm going to do that study and see what I get. So you might have the same basic thing being studied, done from 10 different authors over 20 different years.
Testing different variables. The other thing is which variables it's so confusing.
It can be very confusing. So it's like I don't never recommend that you go to the National Institutes of Health and start reading that shit, man. It's just give yourself a headache. But what I recommend is more like, okay, if you get a prescription, you're going to try the prescription, and if it doesn't work or you have bad side effects, you're going to call the doctor back and say, man, this is not working or it's making me sick. Same thing with cannabis, only you don't have to have a prescription, you don't have to have a lot of money, and you can go to the store, buy it yourself, and track it. Don't just do it casually, do it with intent. I am going to find out how my sleep is when I take this much at this time, and I'm going to track it. And sometimes a number is real helpful. My sleep last night was a 7. My sleep last night was a 6. Not as good as the night before. My sleep last night was 9. Really, really good. That kind of thing. And after you try a tincture, honey, gummy, whatever, know as much as you can, this was beneficial to this degree, or this sucked balls. This didn't do shit for me, whatever.
Well, and we were talking earlier about that everybody has different receptors and things like that. But, I want to stress again, don't do what – I can't tell you how many fucking medic runs I've been on where the guy took a gummy and he waited 10 minutes. Well, I'm not feeling anything. Yeah. So he takes the other half of it, waits 10 more minutes, still not feeling it. Forgetting about this thing called the caloric sphincter, which is the bottom of your stomach, which releases everything. This is the science of your body, and it only works every 30 to 45 minutes. Does it release that content into the upper intestine, which is where your absorption comes from. So this clown took another gummy. Fuck it. So he's taken 2. Now his caloric sphincter opened up. Now he's catatonic, and he thinks he's going to fucking die. Well, you dipshit. Start low, work your way up. It's like I said, I only started with 10%. 10, 10, and 10 is what they told me. I am no way. You are by far more learned on this than I am, and I appreciate your guidance and counsel. But start low. Reiterate that again.
Yeah.
And gradually work your way up. I love the fact that they're in, like the dispenser I went to, they got everything in the fucking world that's infused with THC. Everything in the world. I didn't know about the honey. I would have tried that. But that would be awesome. But start low. Wait for it. Understand how your body works. Understand, it's just like with alcohol in our SFST labs. How much have you had to eat? What kind of drinker are you? I had a guy come in and said, I'm a heavy drinker. Okay, so we started dosing him up. No shit, Jerry. 2 shots, 2 beers, on the floor. Bro, 4 ounces of alcohol? He was out of there. I'm like, you're not a heavy drinker. You're not even a lightweight drinker. You are a non-drinker, bro. You should have told us that. So he was done for the day. But, I guess he was trying to man up or whatever else. But, I know in like my experience, this guy was trying to advise me as if I was a regular user and not being a doper. But, I've been around marijuana smokers my entire life. I used to partake myself, but when I went blue, became a law enforcement officer, I was believing, this is a gateway drug and everything. Drugs are bad, okay, all that. But, I just did not see that side of it. Now there was people who started with pot and then they moved on to cocaine and then they did meth, but they're masking. Right, there's a trauma there they're masking, right? And Jerry, it isn't correct that most behaviors like that, and David too, all of it's related to a trauma, correct?
Masking is the word. Yeah. All your ego defenses are masking, covering up, protecting you from feeling the pain.
Yeah, I want to feel anything but feel that way.
Yeah. Another category of users, though, which is much more common. Again, I'm not learned in this topic, but I have a number of clients who smoke pot every night, and their parents, and they don't let the kids see it. But that's a whole different ballgame to me. That's a mood altering, psychologically and spiritually. That's a whole different category. So the concern there is if you start taking it to go to sleep, are you going to be using it every night? So you can tell I'm a square here. Is to me, I don't support but I don't support using marijuana every night to relax when you get home. So, smoking every night or whatever. That's a whole different category of user because we're talking about.
There you go.
We're talking about about a whole different ballgame here versus marijuana as a daily thing that I use every night. So I relax with my kids and have a good time. That's mood altering.
I guess my question is it why wouldn't you? Because right now our government is vilifying tobacco products more than marijuana products. Have you noticed that on your if you're watching a television program? Violence, gore, smoking. Get the fuck out of here! You're smoking a cigarette. It's like watching Mad Men. They make a big deal with her and they're smoking. It's like, they're banging everything with legs, and they don't talk about rampant sexuality. Right. But you talk about smoking, and they don't talk about the alcoholism on there either, do they?
Oh my god!
But they're so focused on smoking cigarettes. I smoke cigarettes. You smoke cigarettes.
I have struggled with the nicotine addiction for years.
Yeah, exactly. I still like having. Don't tell anybody, but I smoked a cigar over the weekend.
Oh, my God.
I enjoy a Monte Cristo or a Rocky Patel. They're not paying me to advertise for them, but if you guys want to throw some money our way, we'll certainly take it. But, I enjoy a good cigar. And when I was working on my cruisers, when I was building cruisers, I would smoke. Help me think. I would sit back. I'm going to get to a certain point. Okay, now how am I going to get this next task accomplished? So I would sit there. On my chair, I had a high back, it was like a tall bar stool at my workbench, and I'd fire up a cigarette, and it would help me think. So that's what I enjoyed about it. Like in the Indian days, they passed around the pipe. Everyone had a draw of the tobacco smoke out of it. It wasn't bad. But, I guess what I'm talking about, like with the marijuana, where I'm challenging you, Jerry, is why wouldn't you? And I did have a friend, which reminded me of a story. He's like, hey, man. I know you're on the job and all, but, if we come around here at night and you smell a little bit of, pot around the house, is that going to be a problem? I told him, I said, I don't give a fuck if you're sitting home smoking a bowl. I could fucking care less, honestly. It's fucking pot. Now, if you're selling it to the neighborhood kids, I got a problem. If you're in there shooting up with heroin, I got a bigger problem. If you're in there cooking meth, Walter White, then we got another problem. Is it recreational for you? Yeah. Zero fucks given, dude. How about it?
I guess I feel I'm very comfortable or very strong feeling that if you mood alter regularly, you're not yourself. So you're challenging me as far as sleeping.
But what's mood altering? I don't think marijuana is mood altering.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Again,
Well,
but
let's throw it to the doctor.
I have not read an article on marijuana in 10 years. I've just not. I don't do. That's not my area.
Well, you
forte.
say yes, and I say no, Dr. David.
No, but you're talking
what
about
is it?
sleep. We're talking about calibrating marijuana as a sleep aid,
Right.
and I intervened and said I do not support people regularly mood altering. If you want to grow as in your spiritual life, and you're high you're high every night, or you smoke them every night, you're not going to be able to deal with the issues that come up because they're going to be masked.
Okay, now
in
I
that
understand
sense.
what you're saying.
So, yeah,
now.
spiritually there.
Got it. Okay.
If somebody can't sleep and they're miserable and they're edgy every day, what's the difference? I have a number of clients who drink a glass of wine to go to sleep at night.
Sure.
What's the difference between a gummy and a glass of wine? Or if you're taking Ambien and you wake up.
Exactly.
So all these different categories is
Bro, I think the Ambien's the worst fucking thing you can take.
very
That
strong.
is-
Very, very strong.
People
yeah.
tell me about just horror stories about the Ambien.
Yeah. So again, it's an opening and a door that has not been opened before, and I was just making a distinction that in terms of using it to sleep is a whole different ball game than saying it's okay to have a gummy every night after dinner, because then I'm more. What they'll tell me is they're more mellow with their children. They're a better parent smoking pot, and I think I'm not supportive of that. I don't criticize them. I say you can't
Right.
do that, but I would just say I don't think that's the ideal way to grow psychologically
Right.
and to integrate and work on your issues by always being under the influence of that.
Good stuff.
Some people find it mood altering, but not most people.
Okay.
Not most people find it mood altering. Most people find it physiologically and cognitively relaxing. It doesn't affect their mood. The folks who get I'm okay. Same thing was like with liquor. If you know how much liquor Mark was talking about, that one dude. If you know what your tolerance level for alcohol is, I have no problem with somebody coming home and having a glass of wine every night with their dinner. Fine. And the same thing with pot. If you come home every night and you walk into your bedroom and you change your clothes and you hit your pipe for 2 inhalations and you put it down and then you go do your evening, I don't see how that's bad. Because it's not enough to make you intoxicated. It's just enough, to me, I find it as a form of punctuation. It's the end of your workday and the beginning of your non-work day. And if you punctuate that end and beginning with a couple of hits off of a pipe, big deal.
Just don't use caffeine.
Well,
No, I'm just saying. So you're just giving it that perspective that it is a substance.
yes.
And people use caffeine, they use alcohol,
Absolutely.
they use all kinds of substances
Yeah.
to relax, or caffeine in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. So you're putting it in perspective.
And if coffee's a great comparison here. Coffee, could I start my day without coffee now? Yes. Would I prefer it that way? Absolutely fucking not. I want my coffee in the morning. I'm not dependent on it to function, but man, I love that smell and that taste of coffee in the morning. Does it make me hyper? Well, if I drank it all day long, it would. And I drink really strong coffee, but I just have a cup. And then the second cup's got to be with food. If I have another cup during the day, it has to be with food.
Otherwise, you're jittery as hell.
Yeah. Same thing with alcohol. If I drink it at noon, I don't like my afternoon much. So I isolate my consumption of alcohol to post 10 p.m. I will not drink anything before 10 p.m. And then I have what I grew up with in movies is a nightcap. I have a limited amount of alcohol, a beer, a drink, and I sip it for hours. I go to bed like at 1 o'clock in the morning. So for 2-3 hours, I sip an alcoholic beverage. Does it do anything to me? I like the flavor. I just like the way my mouth is when I drink. I have a beer right now I dearly love. Oh my God, I could drink a lot of it if I just drank what I wanted to, but I appreciate it. So I hold it to a special place in my day, in my life, and I reserve that spot for, okay, my wife's in bed, I'm up, I'm going to be up for a while. She can sleep through thunderstorms, hurricanes, and earthquakes. So I don't have to worry about that. I can just have my nightcap, sit here, read, listen to podcasts, play, work on my computer, whatever, and it's just soothing. And so for me, anything that leads to self-soothing that's done in a reasonable fashion, and that would include almost any activity like gym, walking, food, absolutely.
Raiding the cupboard all night, eating snacks all night.
Yes.
Is that mood altering? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Is it good for you? No. Does it help your sleep? No. So to me, it's like if you're, again, self-aware, which I think you emphasize very strongly in all of the 2 episodes we did before and today, when you sent us the notes, it was like, Jerry wants to talk about self-awareness.
Self-awareness. That's what makes us human.
That's exactly right.
Right.
And so for me, when Mark's going through his 10-10-10, I got some folks working on that same formula right now. They like the CBN being added to the cocktail.
Right.
And if you do some research on the endocannabinoid system, you'll find out that every system in the body has receptors for cannabis. Every system. 20% of all of our cells have receptors for cannabis. When we ingest lemon, the body transfers the lemon into a cannabinoid so it can have that need met.
Really?
There are other foods that the body transfers from whatever it is into a cannabinoid because cannabinoids are something the body wants. The body is set up to consume, ingest, integrate cannabinoids. And if we do it in a reasonable way, it is absolutely incredibly healthy. And there's been enough research on its effects on things like migraines, stomach concerns, sleep, other medical things. It's like, it's like to me with opiates. If I'm in a lot of pain and I take a Vicodin or whatever it is I'm being prescribed, which has been a long time, thank God. But if I was really hurting, the opiate wouldn't affect my mood, thinking, body, nothing. It would like the pain absorbed the opiate.
Right.
If my pain level was going down as my healing went forward, the pain went down, and I would take the same amount of Vicodin, I could feel it. And it was like, now that's recreational. Right. That's not what I took the pill for. So I know now my pain's reduced enough. I can reduce my dosage, cut the pill in half, take it every 2 days instead of every day, whatever it is. Again, it all gets back to self-awareness.
And all things in moderation, the golden rule. That takes a lot of self-discipline.
Exactly. Yeah. Another key thing.
Wow. What a great episode. We're at 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Dang.
That's when you know the conversation's good.
You opened Pandora's box.
Oh, I sure did.
First responders.
And that's, but that's
for additional research, exploration.
Right. But we're all professionals here. I mean, I think this is a great opportunity. I think this is fantastic, but we need to change attitudes. And when you were talking, David, I remembered one of our early conversations talking about pros and cons of use of marijuana. And of course, my position as a police officer and as a police supervisor is like, oh, hell no, that's a gateway drug, and you're like, slow down, bro. Have you seen some of the research? Have you seen some of the effects? And a lot of things which you just mentioned were the positive things about the use of it. Well, now that I'm on the other side of it, and the Ohio State Legislature has agreed, everybody's like, we're going to hell in a handbasket. We're legalizing all these drugs. It's like, well, why did we really make them illegal? And I think the biggest disservice to the human population was putting people in jail for long periods of time for the use of marijuana. I think that was a huge, and I even said that back in the day. It's like, just fucking pot, dude, really. Relax. And for a long time, why aren't we governing this? It's like all the other syntaxes out there. Why aren't we governing it?
Right.
Why aren't we using it as a tax source?
Right.
And that's what a lot of states are doing. Is like, well, I forget who we were talking about, and they're like, oh yeah, you're going to buy $10 worth of pot, but you're going to pay $8 worth of tax. But the pot you still pay $10 for. You just pay the tax over and above it, so it's $18.
Right.
For that ounce of marijuana.
Right.
But I think that let's get our first responders relaxed. Why not explore it? Let's get our first responders to sleep. Why not explore it? How many first responders do we know have worked with injuries? We did a whole series on that on the roll call room.
Yes, excellent.
How many times did I go back to work injured?
Yes.
I had vein surgery done. I went back. I got to get back to work. I was supposed to took 2 weeks off. I took 4 days off. I went back to work injured and worked. Did I get an award for it? No.
Yeah.
Look how they flushed me down the toilet and shoved me out the door at the end of my career. Not that I'm bitter, but you don't get rewards, boys and girls, for working injured. If you're injured, stay home and recover.
Yeah.
But back to our initial topic is like, what's wrong with feeling good? What's wrong with being relaxed? What's wrong with getting asleep? I would love to be able to be in a position where you guys are begging for work. But that's not the fact, right, gentlemen? How long's your waiting list right now, Jerry?
A couple months.
Yeah. Couple of months. Listen up, first responders. Couple of months. Call him today.
Exactly.
Call Dr. David today. If you're not hurting, you're going to be.
Yeah.
It's better to have that intake already done. It's better to send Jerry an email, a text, stop in for 15 minutes in between clients for a quick update. Do you do that?
Yes.
Hey, man, everything's good. Well, you did it with me.
Or a phone consult. A 10-minute phone consult.
I mean, when I was working, I stopped out there on a Friday afternoon. Hey, man, and I was in full uniform. Just stopped in. Jerry's office in my city. And we just chatted.
I met a first responder at the football game Friday night. So he was going to be stopping by.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect. And good therapists are busy. I can honestly say I had a guy said, "Oh yeah, I called this therapist." I'm like, "Well, yeah, sure. Can you be here at 10:30?" And it was like 8:00. He's like, "Well, yeah." I was thinking, "This is great." So he went in. He's like, "That guy was a fucking moron." I said, "That's why he has an open calendar, because nobody goes there." But also be aware and think about it. Like our good friend Steve Click says, with the Ohio Department of Public Safety, and that's what he's in charge of, is getting those first responders to the proper therapist. Just a therapist really needs that first responder checkbox, because story after story after story of first responders going in and talking to a therapist where the therapist was left traumatized.
Yeah, clueless.
Well, but it's like Melanie Palmer said. She's like, seriously? I mean, really? Nobody's ever said anything so outrageous to me that I've been shocked. I'm like, well, I'm just reporting back to you what these people told me, that in the one guy's therapist was literally in tears after they told their story. They were so upset, they empathized with him. So real quick before we go, I had thought and talked to David in depth and Jerry in depth about becoming a counselor, but I can't do it. I have a thing called toxic empathy. And so that's the reason why that path, I'm really proud of our friend Erica.
I've never heard of that term before. Toxic?
You haven't heard about that? Yeah.
Not in those terms.
Our friend Erica, who was on season 2.
Windmill Wellness.
Windmill Wellness, yeah. Erica has Warrior Wellness now. She's out of Texas. I'm not even going to attempt her last name because I will butcher it.
Oh, God,
But Warrior Wellness, Erica, she's fantastic. She's now on the Spinning Our Gears podcast, so very similar to our format. Erica's on there with Turk. But toxic empathy is where you take on that energy of the person, and you're really, because we have one of our first responders, that one of my former officers, it's just in a brain damage situation. He ended up getting fired. But I have to take speaking with him in little bites. Because I'm like, yeah, fuck those guys, because they really did him dirtier than they did me. But so I really empathize with that to a toxic level.
But I would be willing to treat that. David,
See?
would you?
We're going
David,
to work
would
on
you?
that. Yeah.
No,
Well,
no.
but this is what I'm telling you, Jerry. So the next time
Yeah.
we talk, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about this. Well,
Yeah.
when we talk in
And
session.
it's painful. Toxic.
Oh, it very
empathy
is,
painful
'cause I
because
feel
their
myself-
pain becomes your pain.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I just take that on. But like when I was talking, we interviewed Molly Hall, how do you get rid of that? When you come in and you really have a rough session, what do you do? I remember one day, somebody in the room, wasn't David, had a session. And we went outside and we smoked half pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
But Jerry was just, it was just one of them days, you know?
Right.
But we're all human.
Right.
And, you know, you both see therapists, correct?
Yes.
I mean, you know.
We both, every therapist should be doing personal growth work, and they should be looking in a mirror with somebody, working on their stuff, because your stuff is always affecting your
and you don't want your
transference, right?
Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
You don't want your shit to affect your client. So we all need to find our way of so-called
good.
flushing the toilet.
Yeah.
And we just need to be cleared out. And that's where I'm thinking the use of THC, CBD, you know, I just want to get our guys healthy.
Right.
I want to get our guys and gals, our first responders,
Right.
sleeping.
Yeah.
Have that clear conscience so you can go out. It's a noble profession.
Yes.
I loved being a cop. Being a police
Essential-
officer is the best
essential,
fucking job
yeah.
in the world. Yeah, and our firefighters and our EMTs, and you know, I want everybody to be happy.
But the
positive.
typical person does not realize the amount of stress you deal with in a shift. Every situation
God.
you deal with is
Yes.
negative. I was an assistant principal 5 years, so all day long you deal with negativity, and the regular teacher doesn't see that in the school. It's you already deal with a small percentage. So cops and first responders are always in the middle of pain, suffering, bad behavior.
We're the key player in your worst day.
Yes.
I can't say that enough. I mean, you know,
So
I
that's-
my dad's a deacon, and our good friend Father James Dool. We had lunch one afternoon, and I said the only person we need here yet's a mortician, and we would have a true trifecta going on. But you know, and Father Jim was talking about a funeral and blah 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 blah. I said, Father, you got him easy. I'm there when Mamaw just died. I'm the one taking the punches in the face. You got him on the end of it, So we all have our own trauma. But
Right.
my nephew unfortunately had a death in his family. One of his infant daughters passed, and at the funeral, where I'm going with this is, and I put my hand on Father Jim's shoulder and I said, "How are you doing?" And he just looked at me, and I said, "Seriously, I want to know how you're doing. Are you okay?" And he kind of took a step back and took a breath, because I think that was new to him. Was it who checks on Father? Who checks on Jerry? Who checks on David? Who checks on Mark? So reach out and touch people. I mean, check out. Most of all, who's checking on the retirees? Guys and gals. Have you reached out to that guy you ain't heard in a while?
Yeah.
Have you checked on them? How they doing? Because remember, and once you're gone 6 months, that's kind of like the number. You're not relevant.
Right.
And I didn't
Right.
come up with that. The great Travis
Society
House.
doesn't value anymore.
Yeah,
That's
the great Travis House came up with that. But he's in the fire side. He's been a cop too. But we need to be aware of the people that are around us. And I can tell you that it's nice when you say, "Hey, man, how you doing? Yeah, did you need something?"
Yeah.
No, bro, I'm just checking in.
Yeah.
Are you
Exactly.
okay? Yeah, good. And I reached out to a friend today and had lunch in a while, and we're going to lunch this coming Friday. We made the appointment, but reach out, take care of one another, keep in touch, get to sleep, set up with your therapist, find a therapist if you need one. Just go to our website, hit the coaching button, take you right to Dr. David. He'll find you one in your area of the world. We're working with a gentleman now that reached out a week ago.
About a week ago. Yes.
Yes. Just kind of hit all the check boxes. I've tried A, B, C, and D, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I'm not even going to attempt this. So send him right to Dr. David, and Dr. David's finding him some help and relief. But I think, and we'll end on this, that this is something we need to move forward with. We need some more opinion on this. I think that I don't think it's a bad thing. Jerry? Your input? You think CBD or THC would be a bad thing getting people to sleep, or should we use more conventional ways?
I don't know enough about it to make an intelligent comment. I really don't.
Okay.
But certainly, as I was saying earlier, it's a substance like alcohol, like anything else. Within this context, I think it's valid within this context.
Sure.
My concern was that it becomes a normal thing, which different people just have. I'm just concerned about that becoming the norm.
Balance is what I'm talking about. Having a couple of drinks or a glass of wine.
David said all things in moderation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Perfect. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't want you. If you're having to use more and more, I think we got a deeper problem. Mm-hmm. Everybody agree with that?
Masking, yes.
Yeah.
But of all substances.
Instead of covering the pain, let's heal it. Yeah. Because, even in the great EMDR work that you and I have done, Jerry, has got me to the point right now that hey, I'm pretty good. Am I great? No. Do we still have some problems? Absolutely we do. Mm-hmm. It's getting this dick mode button shut off. This you're being angry all the time.
RQ, your reactivity quotients is high, a little high.
It is. I had my first, and I probably talked about this an episode or so ago. I had my first one on an eval.
Oh yeah. Not good.
Well,
not good.
We talked about it.
Yes,
session,
we
but I don't
did.
think I talked about it on the Shield Within. But I was that abrasive that I pissed the student off. And that's not me. And that's where it made me aware of, okay, so it's not them.
What part of me, remember with the IFS,
yes.
What part of me reacted so negatively to this student?
Right.
That's not who you
are.
are.
No, it wasn't him. It was another student. That guy was so pissed off that I spoke to another student.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't yell at him. I yelled at one of my former academy students.
And he called you out.
And then he's like, well, he can't talk to him that way. We're cops. How dare he talk to him that way? But it's not a negative. It's a positive. He wasn't wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
He was absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So how are you being perceived? Okay. Now, back in my day, sergeant gives you an ass chewing, you suck it up and move on. But I shouldn't be acting that way. And I can still count on one hand how many negative evals I've had in 20 years of being a trainer. Mm-hmm. So, and of course management got involved. They saw that and what's going on, how they wanted to fire me. Mm-hmm. Well, that would have changed my attitude. Right. But then they realized the value that I bring to the table. And they said, well, let's work on this. What's wrong? And they immediately called Jerry. So you got to find me at the cancellation. So we got in, we talked about it. We're going to do some work. We still have work to do. Mm-hmm. But like I said, we do hypnotherapy, we do EMDR, and if you think 1 or 2 EMDR sessions is going to fix you, you are fucking out of your mind because, like with mine, like I said, it was almost frame by frame, and I remember one session, I think Jerry was getting a little frustrated. He's like, we've done this, what is not getting unstuck? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't know, but I want to keep doing it till it gets on.
And that's our job. That's our job.
Yeah, but we got there though. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of it is you have to be willing to continue on and do the work. And I think that you're more susceptible to wanting to find that healing spot if you're well rested and your mind's open.
Absolutely true. Yeah, sleep's a key.
Man, this has been a kick-ass episode. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. Oh. It's time to key the music, isn't it?
It is.
Donnie, do your duty.
May your days and nights find you strong and safe. May you take your place as your family's face. As you do the shit that we won't do. As you embrace the risk you must go through, may you grow in strength and heal and find your heart, your soul, and your mind. You look at your life and grin. You have a home, the Shield Within.